Hello and welcome to Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 74 for December 3rd, 2013. I am Adma Spark and I am the organizer and editor of this podcast. Not really, I do the questions, but I've decided to take over the leading role for today. Because I am just great like that. I'm also modest.
Clearly. Yeah. So is this the Atmospark show or?
Yes, it is. Darn Skippy.
Well, nice. I am. What do you call that guy? Not the co-host, but kind of just awkward guy who sits on the couch next to Conan O'Brien. He just kind of helps.
Writer?
Comic relief.
Comic relief.
Andy, whatever. Well, I am the Andy to Pinky Dash on this show. And my name is Burn1, and I'm going to be editing this week. I'm an actual editor. And I'm also the special guest coordinator. And who's that guy who plays the trumpet on Conan O'Brien? Remember?
I could just be all of the roots.
Yeah.
On from Jimmy Fallon.
Oh so, yeah, there you go. Let's go for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Flutterguy 317, otherwise known as the Roots. And I'm the media manager for this podcast. I feel like we're on a late night.
We are on a late night show. So, Bert, you'll be the one to contact about getting any special, any actors or singers or even politicians on the show.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's see if we can get Barack Obama or something on. That'd be cool, right?
I don't know if he appreciates the art.
I don't know if he
does. Barack Obama's so into the pony arts.
Oh, I'm sure he is. You can't be one of the most powerful men in the world and not like the ponies. So anyway, you will notice that we are missing one of our members this morning. Well, I guess evening for you guys.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is it is Rainbow Plasma's birthday today. Well, recording day, not airing day.
Happy birthday, Rainbow Plasma.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Everyone go to his DeviantArt and wish him happy birthday. I've actually seen a lot of happy birthday fan art and stuff already, and it's really awesome.
He posted a tweet from the Cutie Art Crusaders account saying, "It's only been my birthday for 10 minutes and I've already seen 3 great things."
Oh yeah, right when it turned 12 a.m.
Yeah.
So I think the best one that I've seen so far was the one by Eala Wolf, the dusk sign transition, but it was Rainbow Plasma.
Yes.
that was pretty funny.
She showed that to me on last Tuesday, so a week ago. And it was an unfinished thing. It was all black and white and whatnot, and it was just the greatest thing ever. And it's so good.
I was gonna save it as a GIF and then make a DeviantArt account for it, but it's actually a SWF, so I couldn't. I probably could. I think I've got Flash somewhere.
Yeah. Still, it's so good.
It was pretty funny.
Well, yeah. So that's why he's not here today. But he'll probably be in the chat because he'll probably be watching the episode. So say hi, say happy belated birthday to him, and
and
give him moldy cake.
Yeah, give him moldy cake. Get cake a week ago, and then give it to him. Just go back in time and make a cake.
Speaking of which, I have to make moldy cake for someone.
Really?
Remember that? Yeah.
That's a great birthday trick. Okay.
Yeah, anyway.
So I hear you have something to talk about.
I do. Thank you for asking. So we at Cutie Art Crusaders were contacted by Pony Tim, who is the media director for Everfree Northwest last year and this year, 2014, and he has asked us to promote a contest that they are running in the lead up to Everfree Northwest 2014, which is pretty cool. So this contest is an art contest, which is why he's come to us. So the theme of this contest is villains, rivals, or friends. So show one or more My Little Pony villains making friends and or on the road to redemption. There are some pretty cool prizes for this as well. So there is a full-page insert for first prize, full-page insert into the Everfree Northwest 2014 convention book with artist bio, 3 My Little Pony inspirational posters, and 1 Comic-Con 2011 My Little Pony group poster. So all of that for first prize. Second page is half page, and third prize is also half page, but without the MLP poster. So there's a lot of pretty cool prizes that you can win for this contest. So if you feel like entering, I would highly recommend it, because there's going to be a whole lot of artists, and I believe... no, maybe not. Okay. So all the information for that can be found on the everfreenorthwest.deviantart.com DeviantArt page. There is, I think that's at the moment, that's the only thing on that page. So it's just the journal for that contest. So it's really hard to miss. All the details for entering, as well as how to, what to make and how to enter it and who to send it to, etc., is all in that journal. So go to everfreenorthwest.deviantart.com to see that and make some art for it.
Yeah. I'll put the link in the description for everyone who's watching this on YouTube, so you can also go there to find it quick.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
But it's a really awesome opportunity to actually get your work featured in a convention book, so I highly recommend it. It's very awesome opportunity. So
yeah, it sounds like it's a really cool thing, and definitely go check it out. Even if you don't submit art, you can check out what's going on, and then at the convention, be sure to check out the inserts for the people who won. So cool.
Just a quick note on that. It must be something new and original created for the contest. It can't be something that you've already made. So there.
Probably bonus points if it has stuff that's relevant to Everfree Northwest too.
Probably.
I guess, I don't know. Go check out the contest rules.
It's yeah. He didn't really say that, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Okay, so to the Flutter Guy.
Yes. So our theme this week is sisters. If you saw in our episode last week, we put the theme at the very end, and we're going to keep doing that because people seem to really like that we have that there. So for this theme, we decided to go with strictly sisters, and we didn't include the Princess Celestia and Princess Luna sisterhood thing.
Nor did we include brother and sister, so Twilight and Shining Armor.
Yep. So our first piece of art is called Two Best Orange Sisters by Fireflies, which features Applejack. No, not Lauren Faust, unfortunately. But no, but this is by Fireflies, and it's of Applejack and Apple Bloom laying on a hammock, and it's in traditional watercolor, which is really cool.
And also the reason why we put it in, because there is not enough traditional pony art.
Mm-hmm.
There must be more.
It's so easy to make digital pony art and share it, that it's when someone actually makes something traditional, sometimes it just doesn't get spread around enough.
Yeah.
You can see this as tradition because you can see up the top left-hand corner, there's a little bit at the top of the page from the scanner. Which is great. I love it because you get it's all traditionally done and it's handmade, so you get those little imperfections. Cool. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I love seeing, don't get me wrong, I love digital work and digital paintings and stuff like that, and even digital work that kind of mimics watercolor feel. But seeing a traditional watercolor is just phenomenal because of the little imperfections, and you can see exactly kind of how the water took the colors into the paper and stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's that aspect of traditional art that digital just can't replicate. Where the water goes, if your table that you're working on's on a little bit of a tilt, you get the gravity effect, which you don't get in digital. The way that it all bleeds together, it's all fantastic. That digital just can't replicate.
Right. For instance, if you look at Apple Bloom's tail, there's some shading on it, with a darker red, or it could just be a splash of color. And you can't really, you could replicate that with digital, but only if you study a traditional watercolor, because there's no way to tell really what direction the water is going to flow or splotch or anything like that.
Yep.
So
that, and how the water soaks into the paper too, because when you paint with watercolor, you use special watercolor paper, and it's basically just a very thick fiber-like paper that absorbs liquid well, so it'll absorb the pigment. So it because if you try to paint on normal paper, it'll just run off and it'll drip and it won't soak in, and it won't. It'll give you a completely different effect than what normal people are going for, so it's very hard. You can't really paint on it. But when you have a traditional piece like this, you really get to tell how the liquid seeps into the paper, and you get this kind of texturized feel and everything that's really cool. And in the same spot you mentioned, Apple Bloom's tail, if you look at the top of the little shadow on it, you can see how that thick blue soaked into the paper there and made a hard blue edge on the top. And you get different feelings like that when other colors soak into colors, and it always gives this really interesting aspect, especially in the background in the spot on the left. You can see how much liquid was actually used, and it seeped into the fibers of the paper and the grass and the blue up top.
Now, with watercolor, Bern, you might know this, but I'm assuming that an artist would either use like a watercolor paint or like a watercolor pencil or something like that, and then use water on it afterwards, or
it can actually be done in both ways. I mean, either or. Yeah. There's one way to paint, which is like the normal watercolor way, is you just use pigment and water. So you have like a little tray with different pigments in it that are just very thick colors, which are what pigments are, that mix well with water. And you just put a little water on your brush and you dab it on the little like hard soluble spots or whatnot. And then you put that on the paper. And then the more water you use, the thinner the color will be, so on and so forth. And then the other way is watercolor pencils, which is where you have the pencil and you rub that on your paper, kind of like a crayon or something similar, but it's basically a colored pencil. And it puts pigment on your paper dry, and then you take a brush and you put water on it that way, and then you can get different effects. And it's a little easier to basically put really exact color and make it look watercolor-ish. But I think this piece was done with brushes. I don't see anything that like mimics colored pencil stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna guess that too.
Yeah, I've played around with colored pencil watercolors, and you still get, no matter how much water you use, you can absolutely use too much water, but no matter how much you use, you still do get a little bit of the pencil strokes. You still get a little bit of that underneath it.
Effect.
Yeah.
So, and I don't see any of that in this. So that leads me to believe this was done with proper watercolor paint.
Yeah.
Also, I've seen, and I think my sister has watercolor crayons as well.
Speaking of crayon, if you look at how the hammock is made, I'm really curious to know if that hammock was made with the artist not painting where those lines are. Because if you notice, there's no color there. There's no pigment. It's all like left out. And you get this really cool effect underneath Applejack and Apple Bloom where it's like the colors of that the hammock is basically unpainted space. So it wasn't that he drew the hammock or the artist drew the hammock. It was that the hammock wasn't drawn. You know what I mean? So it gives it this feeling that is just really cool and kind of like fits in with everything. And what I'm curious of is that if he went to the painstaking work of painting basically everything but the lines, or if those lines are white paint on top of the paint, or if they are basically like wax crayon or something that he put on the page. Like, I'm trying to zoom in and it's really hard for me to tell. It looks like he basically just didn't paint. Well, no, see, in some places it looks like he didn't paint it, and some places it looks like he did. It's almost white out.
Yeah, to the right of Applejack, it looks like it's painted because it's gone over it. But for the rest of it, like you said, it looks like negative space. So it looks like he's gone over it with a white wax crayon, which, for those who don't know, watercolor won't stick to, so it'll just run off. So it will create that negative space effect.
Well, careful with that term, because I used that term incorrectly before when we were talking about watercolor. Negative space is just the area that's not the subject, which is technically the hammock and the background in this case, and then the like positive space, the subject area is Applejack and Apple Bloom. But that's why I was trying to use words like unpainted space. It's unillustrated space in some areas where like you can see it and there's no like color there. But in a lot of other areas, it looks like it's white painted over the color. Especially like by the bar of the hammock, that little wooden bar, how the colors interact there looks very much like it's just painted over it.
Yeah, because the lines, like for instance in the tree that's holding up the hammock, the lines are fairly straight. Like you could basically connect them where the hammock kind of goes in between. So it looks like the tree was painted in one go, and that the hammock might have been just painted over it. I'm hesitant to agree with the whole wax crayon thing, just because there's so much shading used in different areas.
Yep,
of the hammock.
I get that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was also going to ask, is that, going with that, the hammock is painted on, would it be watercolor because watercolors tend to blend together heaps, as you can tell by this whole picture? Or would that be acrylic paint because it's not blended to anything, except for the places where it's been painted over?
See, that's what I don't know. It could be anything, really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no clue. That's what's so cool about watercolor to me is that when you look at it, it's always kind of an adventure to see how the heck it was made. And sometimes it's insanely complex, and not even the artist knows how the heck they did it. They just threw some paint and pigment on the canvas, and then it did something cool. I was like, oh, I like that. Sometimes when you're making traditional art, that's all part of the process, is having fun and like making mistakes and discovering things. When we feature and talk about Blixit's work, when we've talked about her like Fluttershy and Twilight piece, when we were doing the traditional art episode, like just how things and colors blend together and on that is just crazy and like blows your mind. It's the same concept on this piece. It's like I have no bloody clue how that stupid hammock was made, but it's really cool to see that, and it adds so much more to this simple little like pony fan art to just like look at it and be like, how the heck was this made? And clearly, like, the artist had fun with it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He says himself, I think, that it's one of his favorite pieces that he's ever done. And I completely agree. This is a fantastic piece of art.
Yeah. Something that I really like about this piece is that it kind of goes by the whole show, well, it's not the same style, but the characters have outlines, but the background does not.
Yeah.
I mean, the hammock, like the wooden parts of the hammock have outlines, but I'm just not going to count those. But the fact that like Applejack and Apple Bloom have outlines and the rest of it does not kind of matches with the show having outlines on characters, but not outlines on the rest of
like, I definitely really like that feel too, where he chose to illustrate the black outlines on the ponies. Really makes them stand out and gives them a different quality than the background. It's pretty cool. And we haven't featured a watercolor piece that used black outlines yet. So
no. You're right. A lot of them are just like no outlines, where they've just drawn it in pencil and then erased it later on or gone over it or something. This is great.
Yeah. Last few little like touches that I really like are the cool uses of blue in a lot of areas, because it's basically what really makes this piece and makes it awesome is how as all the colors blending together and creating really cool qualities. So like my favorite part though is if you look at Applejack's hat, how bright it is, and like bright like red or orange, I suppose that is. If you look under her on her face, it's like all sorts of blues and greens mixed in there because of like the colors and how they mixed in, and on her feet too you can see greens all blended in there. So it's not just like one pure color making up an area, it's different colors blending with different colors, you know.
And it's all splotchy from the shading from the leaves and the trees and stuff around them.
Which is a really great effect too. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I really like the shadow from the leaves up above being cast down on them is that feeling it gives, you know? Yep.
So it adds a whole other depth because you can't see above them, but you can see it's all there because of all the shading and the shadows.
Yeah.
And they're so cute.
I know.
Look at Apple Bloom's happy face.
Another spot I actually, again, really like and has to do with the traditional painting is there's like a little spot on Applejack's hoof, like where her hoofs are together. There's like a little splotch of orange there. I don't know. I like that. I think it's cool.
Same with Apple Bloom's tail.
And even in
Applejack's tail. Sorry,
Applejack's tail. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like the red spotted in there. That's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we do have to move on.
We do.
To our next piece, which is called "I Forgive You" by the Atrix.
No, the Atrix.
And this piece. The Atrix?
Atrix.
Oh, the Artrix. I didn't see the R there. Sorry.
It's like the Matrix.
Except with
with the
cool.
R and no M and different places. Yeah. Matrix.
Yeah. So this piece features Rarity and Sweetie Belle.
Yeah, it does.
I'm assuming that this was after some sort of fight, and they're kind of making up for fighting. I think.
Yeah. Or they're just happy to see each other.
I forget the whole point of the plot in was it with the episode where they were like arguing and mad at each other?
Yeah.
Oh, it was the Sisterhood's social episode or whatnot.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a touching moment. It's good. It's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, you're right. It is after an argument. Sorry.
Yeah. I like the stylization in this, like just the fact that like a lot of angles are used. And like there's a lot of roundness to the piece too, but in a lot of places where there should be round things, it's kind of angled, like Sweetie Belle's hair, for instance, or yeah.
You'll find a lot of the roundness, as you say, is in the background, not so much in the characters, which is it's good. It separates the background from the main characters as well.
Yeah, it kind of draws your attention to the main characters and away from the background.
I actually didn't notice that quality at first, but now I am seeing that in like a lot in Sweetie Belle's hair, where instead of making perfect circles, it's like line, line, line.
Which is interesting because this sort of gives me a Disney-esque sort of feel, and in most cartoons, and especially Disney cartoons, all of the villains are angular and all the protagonists are rounded, but in this it's the complete opposite. Unless we're supposed to not like Rarity and Sweetie Belle.
Their villains
it's not so much like harsh angled shapes. They're kind of like soft angles. You know what I mean? They're not perfect or sharp angles. It's not made in that way that gives more like kind of like a malicious intent.
Yeah.
Because line quality gives us a certain sense of how it was made or a certain feeling. So that's why like villains and stuff are usually pointy, but they're like almost overly pointy, you know, where it's like claws or angriness. Like if in the episodes where we've talked or featured that points, it's always like some kind of ominous claw or something, or like the villain has that really pointy, like overly like beak nose and things like that. It's usually it's over the top pointy. It's where we associate it with like villain-esque, to where the more geometric-esque shapes and angles in this one are almost just for like a stylized choice rather than like an emotional concept, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the shading, it does kind of cut the angles a little bit and make them a bit softer. So they're still there for style, but it doesn't have like the same effect that like a villain would have.
Yeah, and I get that, where they've just used lots and lots of straight lines to make it curvy instead of just like 2 or 3 to make it pointy. Yeah, no, I get that. I was just trying to think. It does remind me of a Disney cartoon, but I can't remember which one.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
almost Tim Burton-esque, just because it's like kind of the angular.
I thought it was Impossible, but it's not.
No. Kim Possible's got a lot of roundness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beats me. But you were saying about the figures, Flutter Guy, earlier when we were featuring the piece, you mentioned something about like Sweetie Belle and Rarity.
Oh, yeah. Well, we were kind of, when we were going through our art and stuff, we were comparing things, and I really liked just Sweetie Belle's expression. I actually like both of their expressions in this piece, because it is like it's a sad kind of thing because they're both crying, but it's happy because like it's a redemption kind of thing.
I think it's happy cries.
Yeah, but it's kind of a redemption, and I don't know. It just everything kind of fits together with this piece, between the angled look, and just their kind of emotion, or the emotion of the piece.
The emotion comes out really clearly. I mean, almost overly so. Like when you're looking at like Rarity's tears. I mean, those are some pretty huge tears. Like it's like almost over the top emotion to where it's clearly laid out in this piece that you don't like. There's no mistake. It's clearly like spelt out and illustrated. You know.
Well, that's good because that sets up the whole thing. So you don't actually need to have a look at the description to figure out what's going on in this picture, which is what art should do. It should give you that.
You really get that emotional sense, which is a nice style choice.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're both smiling means it's a happy crying instead of like a sad or an angry crying.
Yeah.
So
because they're both smiling. Well, Sweetie Belle is extremely smiley. Rarity has the sort of the smile, I guess.
Rarity, I think if we could see the other half of her mouth, she would have like a Joker-esque smile going on. Like that's some pretty big lipsticks.
Yeah, pretty big lipstick. Yeah.
How Rarity's illustrated is kind of interesting too, like with the like frilly collar, the poofy shoulder sleeves, like the huge cutie mark earring, like purple long nails, purple lipstick, like blue eyeshadow.
Personally,
like it's kind of funny how the artist chose to depict Rarity. Like it's pretty over the top diva.
Although personally, this is exactly how I would picture Cuban Rarity. Just personally, that's exactly how I see her.
It's really funny.
Yeah, she is very over the top in the show in terms of like drama.
Yeah.
So and fashion and everything. So I could totally see this being her in human form.
Yeah.
Especially when she runs a carousel boutique.
Yes.
You know?
Which is, I'm assuming, where we are in this picture. Because you can see it must be a business because there's a big exit sign to the right of Rarity's shoulder.
Background. There's not much else where we could be, you know.
And most houses don't have exit signs.
Yeah.
Which I've only just noticed.
Yeah. Speaking of the background, what's interesting in this piece, which is kind of similar to the last piece that we had, is that the background is outlined, but the outlines are not as prominent as on the figures, Rarity and Sweetie Belle. So the contrast between like the outline and the fill color in the background is a lot close, like they're a lot closer together. Whereas like with Rarity and Sweetie Belle, the outlines kind of make them pop out from the background a bit more.
And then, yeah, that just adds to the whole background receding and the foreground coming into you. Also, the shading on these characters is amazing. There is so much shading and everything coming from the two light sources in the back. It's fantastic.
It actually is really well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also done with a hard-edged brush with that's transparent, which is pretty cool. Creates a cool quality.
It does. It goes well with the angular lines.
Yeah. Also, I want to point out the light quality in the window in the background. And technically it looks like a door on the right, but we can tell that those are kind of in the distance. And it's a kind of a quality that I've mentioned before, but it's when you have something that's like bright or white or something that's in the background and lighter than the something in the foreground. So like the figures in this case in the foreground, it gives that sense of that it's outside or far away. Because I mean, everyone knows that knows that feeling that when you're like inside of a room that has no lights in it or it's dark and it's really bright outside, if your eyes are adjusted to the dark, the outside's just going to be blindingly bright and super bright white and everything else is going to be dark. So in this case, the stuff that's in focus and that we want to see is the two characters, Rarity and Sweetie Belle, and then kind of a little bit of like the background with like the drapes and stuff. But the stuff that is far away and outside, and now what visually we associate with outside is that really bright white in the window. And you can see that light is kind of seeping in and colored in this like that's Sweetie Belle's hair, Rarity's hair. I can't. Oh, it's that bottom of Sweetie Belle's hair, and like a below in the window, like it's physically shaded into other things. And that quality is also on the right hand side with the door, which makes it almost feel like I can see outside because it gives that same kind of quality of something that's being like illumination, basically coming from the outside in, and bright white windows or things in the background behind subjects or contrasting next to something really gives that feel. That was something that I learned in a painting class.
Well, if you take like a camera and you take set the exposure to something indoors, and then you take the camera outside or you point it at a window or whatever, it's just going to be white because the exposure is set to indoors.
Yeah, that's actually a really good example. So when you have the exposure set to like an indoor light quality, you'll get the picture of stuff that's indoors, or what you're taking the picture of. But when there's a bright white light source outside, it gives that like just pure white, blinding, overexposed feel. Yeah, so that's kind of the sense you get, is the window is like it's overexposed almost, because what's not what we're looking at. What we're focusing on is the characters, not what's in the background. So it gives it that sense of that there's light coming from another source, which is usually outside.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we're going to move on to our next piece, which is called Rainbow Dash ... by Riz Sifra or Kifra.
I'm going to go Sifra.
Something like that. I think it's Sifra.
I guess it's Sifra.
Yeah. So this is, I believe this is a digitally done piece that's got this texture over it, which kind of makes it feel a little bit watercolory to me. But
it's kind of how it's all blended.
Yeah.
Well, the background especially gives that watercolor effect, but the characters are way too sharp for me anyway to think it's watercolor, especially with the outlines.
It's definitely not traditional watercolor.
Not at all. But
he's also a big digital artist, so all the stuff that this artist has made has been very, very digital, and also had that very similar feel. This artist also likes to play with the backgrounds. You'll notice in this piece how it's like they're popping out of that kind of background, which is that little border, picturesque border, you know?
Yeah.
That's something else that I really like too, when people make art that goes outside the boundaries of their borders, even non-bordered stuff, or like without the black background, it's just like a weird, like a splodge. I also really like that as well.
It's really creative.
I love what Riz Sifra's done with the hair in this one. That make it look, that made it look sort of super realistic, but without having millions and millions of individual brushstrokes. They've just added a bit of color splotches every now and then and a bit of shading, and it looks fantastic.
The highlights.
Yeah. There's a lot of like strokes, like inner strokes. It's not, individual strands of hair or whatnot, but it kind of gives the hair shape. Like if you look at Scootaloo's tail, for instance, there's a lot of like movement and shape within the tail that the strokes kind of give it.
And the front part of Rainbow Dash's mane too.
Yeah, those bright points on like the front of Rainbow Dash's mane, even on the top of Scootaloo's head, those are highlights. That is what we call those, like light highlights. In art, like when you draw those, it's a highlight on the hair. It's where the light is hitting it, creating it to shine, making it look like it has hair-like qualities. So the artist is playing with that kind of bright area and then dark area and like the tips of the hair and stuff. That's a very like manga or anime-esque feel,
Yeah, I can definitely get that from the hair in this piece. Maybe not the characters so much, but the hair definitely gives off a kind of an anime-esque feel just because of that. Yeah.
How the wings were drawn too gives that same feeling for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I do really like the style on the wings.
Just to note, we are including adopted sisters in this episode. Just, Yeah.
Because that's what is it? Scared in the Woods episode. I don't know what that was called.
It was
Nightmare or something. Season 3.
Yeah, it was really good. Sleepless in Ponyville.
That's one.
There we go. After that episode, it's pretty much officially adopted. Yeah, it's not sisters, like actual sister. It's like relationship quality sisters. Like if you have a little one, you look over and it's kind of that little sister figure, rather than actual like sister.
Yeah. Which, by the way, was a fantastic episode. Yeah. Actually, just kind of going back to the background, it's very plain and very simple and whatnot, but you can still see, like, if you look above Rainbow Dash, you can see some kind of clouds, and there's also, like, the ground, there's a clear separation and stuff, so there's a little bit of thought put into the background, but not, like, too much to take away from the main focus of the piece.
And over the top, it's just there.
Yeah, it's just like a bit of color to make it look like it's like, I guess, out of focus. There's no real hard edges or anything in the background. It's just a bit of color to make it give it something to rest on, which is useful. It does. It helps pop out the characters.
Yeah. Also, you'll notice it's relevant muted color. So, like the red in the top left is mirroring like Scootaloo's mane, and then the blues in the sky obviously mirrors Rainbow Dash.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Huh. I really like the design of these characters that he's done as well. I like his style of pony.
Yeah. This artist does really cute ponies. I mean, even just the scene, like how outstretched like Scootaloo is to hug Rainbow Dash. It's very cute. Yeah. There's a lot of Scootaloo Rainbow Dash pieces in this artist gallery. There's like Christmas themed one and like a flying themed one and stuff.
Yeah. He thinks they like Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash. He thinks they like them.
Also, a shout out to this artist's animations. This artist has done some really cool I believe they're hand done animations, but they are very cool, very well crafted. There's one with like a twilight, and then there's another where it's like the ponies looking at the sky with twilight. But they're really cool, really well done, high quality stuff. I'm not gonna put them on the screen because you have to go check them out on your own time. We like people to check out the artists we feature, but it's very cool stuff.
Yeah.
They're definitely really well done. So shout out to props to the artist.
They originally made that one with that zooms in on Twilight's eyes and her eyes go big.
Yeah.
That was this person. I've seen that everywhere.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to point out?
The overlay, which I think we mentioned briefly, but it's over everything, not just the background or not just the characters. It's over the whole thing, and it really gives that really good textured feel to this. Like it could, even though it's not traditional, it feels like it could be traditional.
Gives it substance.
It does.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention with the shading. It looks. I can't decide whether it was done in one color and then shaded darker, or it was done in one color and then brightened using lighter colors. It just the way that shading is done is really, really well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can get any
it's kind of like it's like a soft, hard edge shading almost, but it's like really subtle.
It's a little bit of both. There's a bunch of stuff mixed in there. I'm pretty sure the artist would probably start out with, in this case, with like the base colors, and then would go in and mix other like relevant colors, and then use the soft hard edge you see in like the limbs and feathers, and then there's the soft in like the thigh by Ramodesh's Cutie Mark, and how things kind of fade in like in Scootaloo's limbs. So there's a lot of playing with that soft fading of colors, and then also the hard edge, which again, like it creates that something that's really soft to look at and subtle to look at, but is made in a way where it's hard to kind of tell, which is why it mimics a like watercolor-esque feel, you know?
All right, so our next piece is called Happy Days is in Sad Places. Oh, Happy Days is in Sad Places by Lumdrop. Totally did not get that title there.
You always got to rhyme with Pinkie Pie.
Yeah. I thought that was a Cora. So this is a piece featuring Pinky, Inky, and Blinky.
Yep.
Who are the Pinky sisters.
Yep. The pies.
Yeah.
Yes. And
these are the pies, and she lives with the cakes. Yay, puns.
You just realized that?
I just realized that.
That's great.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, I want to talk about this one because I chose this one.
Yeah. Go on.
I really, really, really like this style. This is fantastic. Where it's all done. I mean, the thing that stands out to me the most is the whole background, like the whole sad background with the rock farm and Inky and Blinky themselves. It's all monochrome. It's all black and white, but everything that is, it's happy, it's fun and exciting is done in this really bright pink. So it's the new happy and exciting done over the old boring sad. It combined into one picture with nothing needs to be said. It's fantastic.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like anything that Pinky touches turns to like pink.
Yeah.
She's the Midas of ponies.
Did we say who made this one?
Yeah, Lumdrop.
Lumdrop, yeah.
Lumdrop.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really interesting style choice. It's very dichromatic. Which means two colors.
I feel like we made that term up, but it's still okay because it's good.
You know. But yeah, it's really cool how he chose to depict like happy things and stuff like that with this bright pink and red and stuff, and then everything else that was already there that's kind of solemn and sad, like Rock Farm-esque in the normal, black ink.
Colored pencil. This is all traditional.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry.
I also like the choice. Something I'm noticing, I'm just kind of looking at everything's colored. I like how he left stuff in the stuff in the foreground light, like a lighter color, and then as it goes into the background, it gets darker. Because normally when we think like atmospheric perspective and effects like that, as you go into the background, things will get lighter. But when you're working with colored pencils and stuff, it's sometimes difficult to do that. And he has a lot of really dark stuff in the foreground, like the rocks and the tree. So I think the choice of going from light to dark added a really cool effect. And you still get that concept of things that are traveling back and getting darker in the way in the background, far away in the distance, which is definitely a cool effect. And it's just how everything is like that contrast of like light to dark and dark to light, and how there's just like light floor background with like the ground and dirt, and then the dark rocks and like the outlines, everything, and then how it's contrasted by the pink. It gives this really cool effect for everything. That it's just really visually interesting. It's very cool. I like it. It's a very cool effect.
Does the having the lightness in the foreground, does that kind of add to the whole, I guess, the emotion of the piece, where it's light in the front, so it's like happy and exciting and stuff, and dark in the back, so
absolutely,
it's kind of gloomy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that does feel like it gives it that feel. Sure.
Yeah.
And is Rocky there too? Rocky's there.
Yeah.
But the thing that really stood out to me was the bright pink over the solemn grey. So, and no matter what situation you are, you can be happy because Pinky. And she's a filly, so she's adorable with her fluffy hair.
Yeah. It's interesting that Inky and Blinky are also kind of partaking in the partying, even though they're kind of done with the black colored pencil and in a more dull fashion. But that's their colors, so they kind of blend in with the rest of the piece.
Yeah, like this looks like it could be post Pinky party in the rock farm. Could be like while she knows what a party is now, but she just randomly throws birthday parties and streamers and balloons and trampolines and now Inky and Blinky are getting in on it.
Yeah,
I hope we see more of them in season 4.
I really hope that they go back to like the rock farm at some point in season 4, because that would be pretty fun.
So many characters, bring them back.
I know. Hasbro,
so
if you're
many
listening.
episodes.
All right, so we have one more piece, which is called Sandbox by Holy V, who's an amazing artist. And this piece features 3 of the sister pairs, so Rarity and Sweetie Belle, Applejack and Apple Bloom, and Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo. And they are playing in a sandbox. That's the title.
Oh, they are too.
Yeah. Apple Bloom's got a little shovel, and they've got some pails and stuff like that. Maybe they're building a sandcastle. And they're playing with little pony dolls, which is adorable.
Yeah, they're each sister pair is playing with something that they do normally. Like Rarity and Sweetie Belle is playing fashion, I guess. And then Applejack and Apple Bloom are playing with sand, which is earth stuff, which is farming. And then Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash are flying around. Look at that happy Scootaloo face.
I know. Scootaloo is just the expression.
It's so small and subtle, too. It's great.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Rarity is actually in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like sitting on a stool or something.
She's probably sitting on a pillow or something.
Yeah. Some sort of towel.
She is wearing a dress.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
so Burn, something you brought up in this piece before we started recording was the outlines. Do you want to talk about those a little bit?
Yeah. There was another piece by Holloway we were thinking about featuring that was just Apple Bloom and Apple Bloom and Applejack. And you can check that out in our favorites. But it was just them, and it didn't have any crazy different color outlines. Everything was kind of made sense. It was cohesive in how like all the colors interacted with each other, and it wasn't kind of out there. But again, that's something that people usually know that I have a weakness for, and I'm partial towards is kind of bright outlines on the edges of things, because it catches my attention, makes it interesting, and I think it's pretty. So in this piece, there are some really bright blue outlines on the outside of Rarity and Apple Bloom and Applejack in the background there. And I just think it's a really cool touch. I really like that touch. It adds a little bit of cohesiveness, because I've mentioned that when you have the repetition of colors or colors that are mirrored in other areas of a painting, basically, or in use in a piece, adds like cohesiveness and makes everything kind of come together nicely. Kind of makes sense that when you look at it, your eye sees that point of like bright blue, and then the corner of your eye you also see the other points of bright blue, and everything kind of it mixes together. And the word I keep saying is cohesive. I keep using that word a little too much because that's kind of the term used to describe it. But hopefully that kind of makes sense. But the bright blue outlines on the outside of Rarity and Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom and Applejack, they give kind of that sense where they relate back to the sky up above. And it's just kind of how would you describe that? It's just kind of a bright accent to the characters that I think is really cool. And it's also mirrored yet again down in the little toys on the bottom. And I don't know, it's a cool touch that I enjoy. So
yeah, I really like when artists do that, when they kind of put these accents of colors into different characters and different objects and stuff that you find in different places. And we featured quite a few pieces with that kind of same thing before. I'm guessing probably because Burned, you had them in your favorites on DeviantArt because of the outlines. But it's definitely something that we enjoy in art, and it's a really cool touch.
The best thing about Holloway is how she paints her characters and basically paints her fan art and all of her work, it's always super loose and like sketchy and like rough colors over colors, and she's physically like painting the colors on there, playing with transparencies and non-transparencies. So like one of my favorite parts in the piece is actually Rarity's face. Like she is a dark violet because she's in the shadow. And you can tell that because, one, she is a cool color compared to the warm colors in the background, and she's also much darker to the colors in the background, which I'll get to in a second. But if you look at her face, it's that dark violet, and she has like reds and like peaches like blended in there and painted on top. Like you can clearly see that color is like crudely painted on top of that purple. And it's great. I love that feeling. It looks really cool. I really like how the colors interact and like with the bright blues in her eyes. And it's just, Holiday is a really great colorist. And basically what I mean by that is she really knows what she's doing when she uses colors, and she really knows the qualities that colors give and how they interact with one another. So all of her pieces have this kind of sense and use of color that is similar in all of the pieces that she makes, and how things interact with complements and values and whatnot. But it's really, really great artist, very expressionistic feeling. And I really like Holiday, and I'm glad we can feature her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like another example of the clever use of colors is in the sand itself, because you have these like pinks and beiges and oranges and stuff within the sand, which kind of denote, I guess, highlights in the sand or whatever, but it's not something that you would normally think of when you think of sand, that it could be pink or this kind of like deep orange or brown or whatever. So it's really cool when artists like Olivia use colors that you don't normally associate with like certain areas of the picture, but that they blend in really well with it.
I like what Olivia's done with this. We've got up the top what looks like an umbrella, which I would say would be a shade sail over the top of that. I guess you guys call it sandbox. In Australia it's sandpit, but same thing. And that would also, because it's red and polka dot, that would also contribute to all of that red colouring and that light coming through that or reflecting off that shade onto Rarity's head and Applejack's head. So that would help provide that red reflection of the light onto all of those characters and also into the sand. That is backed up by the foreground wooden box around the sandpit is really bright color, and also Rarity's left hoof is really bright when it gets down outside of that shade. So you
can tell that it's bright outside of the box,
and that's
out underneath the umbrella,
and also all the red lighting around everywhere.
But that again lends to what I was saying before and how it gives that sense of like cohesiveness. So it's not just how it does it scientifically. What we call it's like refracting light. It's basically light is hitting something that has a color quality, and then that light is reflecting off of that and hitting other objects and other things, which would be like Rarity and everyone in the background. But it's also that sense of cohesiveness. It's that color we see, and then we also see it used similar in other places, whether it's muted or or bright or whatever. And there's that sense of relation and color, and we see that, and then our brain connects that. In this case, it's like the dark tone in the color box and the reds in the umbrella, and we see that on Rarity and Sweetie Belle, and our brain does something to associate that.
Just a quick science fact as to support that refracted light. The way that we see colors is, say I've got a red piece of paper and white light is hitting it, but I see red, is because that red piece of paper absorbs every other color except for red, and that red gets reflected back, which is why there is red light through this, because of that red shade sail, the red umbrella. Because it's absorbed every other color, and all the light coming out of it is now red. So that's why.
Science.
Yeah. More science stuff. In our second piece with Rarity and Sweetie Belle, I mentioned how there was like the bright subject in the background, and then there was the dark subject, or like there was the thing in the focus in the foreground. And that's because the we'll use a camera again in this reference. The exposure of the camera was set to be on the light that is inside. So Rarity and Sweetie Belle. In this case, with this picture, what Holiday loves to do, and she's done this in multiple pieces, is she's kind of set the exposure to her basically camera that she is like this is basically like a picture. I'll pretend this is a picture in a camera. She set her exposure to the background. What is Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash in the trees there? It's basically set to that light level. So the things that are in the foreground, so Rarity and Apple Bloom and their sisters, are they're darker. They're much darker. So we see that, and then we now associate that kind of sense that we are in the shadow with them, and then there is a bright light source basically outside of us. And it's a really cool feeling, and like Butterguy mentioned, it's also mirrored in her hoof and things like that. And I again, it's really cool and really lends itself, or showing how Holivy showed that really lends itself to basically Holivy's like skill in depicting things, and really shows that she knows what she's doing when she's making basically scenes like this. And I don't know, I really love that that kind of sense of how like she painted everything dark and then has the light in the foreground, and you can clearly tell how they're like darker colors and like a deeper value, and the stuff outside in the background is that kind of lighter value, and that kind of sense of exposure. I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's something out of the ordinary that you don't really see that often, because the subjects of the piece, it's all the ponies. It's not just like Scootaloo and Rainbow Dash, even though they're lighter than everyone else. But Rarity and Sweetie Belle and Apple Bloom and Applejack are kind of darker. But it's interesting that Holivy painted it this way, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, we are out of time for the art. So we will move on to the QNAS.
To the QNAS. Okay, so I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because we don't have much time left. First question here I've got is, what are your zodiac signs, and are you happy with the Ponyscope pony that you got sent in by Smooth Sailing Pony? So the Ponyscope ponies are like the zodiac, so to play on horoscope. I'll go first. I am Gemini, and I am very happy with my ponies that I got in the Ponyscopes. They are very
By
cute.
the way, the hub released some official Ponyscopes, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're official.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. Now, this was like, what, a year ago that they released them?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I am a Pisces, and I'm pretty happy with my pony scope.
You got a cute pony looking at fishes.
I know, it's fish in the bowl.
It's very cute.
Yeah.
Well, I am a Leo, and I hate my pony scope. Stupid pony in a freaking lion costume. I'm so upset with it. Dorky.
Or maybe you should make a better one. Take that concept
and
make a
cool
better one.
ones, like the Scorpio one with like a scorpion tail and whatnot.
Yeah. Cool. Your pony scope's a little derpy too. I think her eyes are a little derpy.
Yeah, it could have been like, and it's like she's doing that Pinkie Pie stance, like, you know, the canon crudely vectored Pinkie Pie, where she's like has her legs out. You can see all four of them.
Yeah,
vector.
So it's a crude vector, then it's guaranteed to be hub. It's guaranteed to be official.
I know the picture's cute. I just like you don't like the lion costume.
Yeah, the lion costume's kind of lame. No offense.
I liked it. I'm not Leo, but I liked it. I thought it was cute.
All right, moving on.
Okay, next question. What is your favorite picture that you have made by Ramslack? I know we've answered this one before anybody shouts out, you've answered this before. But it's been a while since we answered it, so it might have changed. We've all made new stuff since then. So, guys, answer away.
Oh.
Do you want me to go first, because I've got an answer?
Yeah, you go first because you got an answer.
Okay, well, the favorite one that I've made was one that I made fairly recently. It's called How Cutie Marks Are Made. It's a vector. It's of my OC, Electroshock, as a baby getting his cutie mark for the first time ever, because you can only ever get it once. But it's also accompanied by a sort of origin story of how it happened, and the picture that I've put up with it would be what the cover for a fanfic of it would be. And this took me much time, so long, and it's one of the biggest vectors I've ever made. I'm extremely happy with it. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I gotta say that I remember you showed me that like as you were finishing it, and it is an amazing vector. Like, really, really well done.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Yes. I love how you did the lightning in the cloud.
There's somebody in the comments pointed out how it wouldn't happen in real life, but whatever, it's my pony and it's equestrian, I can do what I want.
Yeah, it's equestrian logic.
Yeah.
Totally happens that way.
Piggy pie physics.
Yeah.
That whole thing. I'm torn between two pieces. But I'm going to go with my most recent shaded canon piece, which would be Tada, which is a piece of Rainbow Dash from Equestria Girls. That it's a vector of a scene where during the song in the cafeteria where Rainbow Dash jumps up on the chair and before the chair falls down, kind of. And so I vectored her in that scene and added in her legs because they were kind of cut off. And I shaded the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And the shading took a really long time. And I think it came out pretty well.
I can tell that would have taken forever. I really like what you've done with this. And he just recently saw Equestria Girls. Yay! But no, I do really, really like this. You've done a good job on the shading.
Yeah, thanks.
And that little background splodge as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
I've been playing around with like filters and stuff in vectors. So
is there a filter on this? No, there's not, is there?
Not on the vector itself, but on the background.
On the background, there is, yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Very nice.
Thanks.
I think I believe last time we had the question, my favorite piece was had I done my master study for art?
I think so.
Then? Yeah.
I think you had.
Or my art final, whatever.
Yeah.
And
I still
like that because it's the most effort I've ever put into painting something or even creating art. It's the longest I ever put into making something, so I still really like that little self-portrait I did of myself. So narcissistic, whatever, but I'm proud of myself for making it, and I think it's pretty, and it's like hanging in my hallway, so I always get to see it. And it's like a little thing of pride or whatever, full of myself. I don't know. But I did make another vector recently, which is not recently. God, it was several months ago. But it was like the most effort I've put into a vector, and it was a lot of fun to make. It was the first time I did shading. It's this Brohoof one. I basically just vectored a piece by Soul Spade, who's an awesome artist. I really like Soul Spade's work. And I'm happy with how that vector turned out, and I really like his style. I wish I could draw in it. So that's my most favorite vector I've made recently, was the Brohoof one with Rarity.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite's still my final in painting.
Yeah, the master study.
Portrait.
Oh, the self-portrait.
Yeah, the Blitz Pony study. It was based off a piece by Blitz Pony.
Yeah, that one's really nice. And I saw that when I came to visit you, because it was in your hallway. And it's like the picture that you have on your DeviantArt doesn't really do it justice, because it came out really well. Like,
I really need to get a nice picture of it or something.
Yeah.
All right, so that was all the questions I had. I guess I'll jump straight into plugs. Unless anybody's got anything else to say.
Happy birthday, Rainbow Plasma.
Apart from
again. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So plugs.
Oh, wait, no.
Wait.
Theme.
We didn't feature the sisters, the princess sisters, Luna and Celestia. But I was saying it's not really art, but shout out to, Two Best Sisters Play.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's technically animation. It's technically an art form, and it's good stuff. You can find that on YouTube.
We may branch into other forms of art soon, not just digital printing.
It was just a random thought. She's like, we didn't feature Luna Celestia. I was like, wait, Two Best Sisters Play.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Two Best Sisters Play Portal is fantastic.
Yes.
Smooth jazz.
There's a lot of art of Celestia and Luna, so we may feature them in a future episode.
Yeah, we've done a Luna episode, and we haven't done a Celestia episode. We may, but that was one of those things where it's like, there's lots of art of these two. We'll just do some more focused sister stuff for this episode.
Give them their own episode.
Speaking of future episodes, our theme is going to be listed right here on this page. Yep.
It's for our plugs this time.
Yeah. Okay, so we're changing it up. It's the Atmos Spark show. I can do what I want. And right now, I'm going to do plugs. Unless anybody's got one other thing?
Nope.
Okay. So we have a DeviantArt page, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. Go there to see all of the art we featured, plus other shows, plus stuff we couldn't feature because there's so much for this week. Have a look at that. We have a YouTube page, which is youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders. You can find a playlist with all of our episodes in there if you just want to click play and watch them all. We have a email account, which is cutieartcrusaders.gmail.com. Send us questions and stuff. We have Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is Cutie Art Crusaders, and Twitter is @Cutie Art Crusade, because that's all Twitter would allow. So yeah, go to any of those places, and we will normally respond.
We'll love you.
Love you. Okay, so if that's it, I will sign off. So thank you for watching, whether you're on livestream or YouTube. We love you all the same. I am Atmospark.
I'm Brony.
I'm Flutterguy317.
And we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Cue the music.
Hello, and welcome to the second spoiler cast for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic Season 4, done by the Cutie Art Crusaders. My name is Flutterguy317, and today I'm joined by Burned01.
Hi.
Atmospark.
Hi.
And a special guest, Silver Rainclouds.
Yo.
Hey.
Yeah.
You may know Silver from all of our little avatars that she has lovingly made us for all of our little themed episodes, like Halloween, Christmas, and
80s night.
our 80s episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you for those, Silver. Much love.
Yeah. Thank you so much for those.
Much love.
I love you.
Yeah. Silver's vector work is absolutely amazing, by the way, so go check her out on DeviantArt.
I thought we were going to talk about ponies. Let's not talk about me. Let's talk about
No.
This is the Silver Rainclouds episode.
Yeah, this is an interview, No, so we are going to kind of go over the third episode in Season 4, which is Castle Mania, which came out today, which we're recording this on a Saturday, but it's actually coming out on a Tuesday, so I mean, generally, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. And unfortunately, Rainbow Plasma can't be here because it's his birthday today. Happy birthday. But I texted him and he watched the episode and he said that it is his favorite so far. So
his favorite of the two.
Of
Well,
I think of
3.
any episode, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
I think so. Yeah. Which was kind of shocking because he really likes Sleepless in Ponyville, but I don't know.
There's not enough Pinkie Pie in it for me.
Yeah,
But
that was the best
twist,
part.
the twist,
Pinkie Pie was
yeah.
the best part of this episode.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
She had such a good part.
Yeah.
It's actually we were watching the episode together with Silver here, and we were just kind of commenting on stuff, and then there was this some scene, and then there's all the main 6 in the castle, or 1 minus the main 6, because Pinkie Pie said she was going to go ring the bell for the whole week or something. And then Silver, you said where's Pinkie Pie or something, and I was like, yeah, like I don't know, something's up here.
I was thinking about that. Like I was looking at them and they were like, haven't they noticed that one of their friends is in here? I don't think she announced that she was going to go ring the bell. I think they told her. They were like, I thought you were ringing the bell. And then
No,
she was like,
in the
yeah, I was.
beginning, when they were doing their bee staring contest and they just got done with it, Pinkie Pie was like, yeah, what is it? The school told or said that they needed me to ring their bell for the next 2 weeks, and there weren't any other volunteers, so that means I don't have to take turns. And then she bounces off.
Okay.
Ring a bell for 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, and I didn't see that. I missed that
I
as
didn't
well.
notice that.
Yeah.
I must have been talking
That
or
was
something.
That was the excuse of why she was gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just seemed really weird to me that they were all together. I was like, why would you get all of them together and then leave Pinkie Pie out like that? It was
for the twist at the end.
But she was playing the organ. She was being happy.
Yeah.
No?
That ending part where she was playing the organ was pretty great, too.
Yeah.
She's just like, doop, boop, 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 boop.
Did you guys have any idea that I could play the organ? Because I didn't.
That's fantastic. It's
So
old
good.
school Pinkie, and I love it.
Yeah.
Old school.
No, it was definitely a good episode. I really enjoyed it. Also, one of my favorite parts was that they like referenced the castle. There wasn't just like something that was used as a plot device and then they like left it back in the background. So when they went back and revisited like the castle and the ruins and stuff in the season opener, like that was really cool. And then in this episode, they're still there. They're still in that castle, and now there's even more secrets and stuff they're discovering. Like when Twilight was reading the journal of Luna and Celestia, which was funny because that seems kind of personal, but that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Where like Celestia was writing like Luna was playing in the trapdoors or something, and she was playing in one of her favorite areas, and it was like a sketch of the part that Rarity and Fluttershy fell into. It was like a little sketch of that, and then like they mentioned like the organ had like the organ sketch, and it was really cool. So I liked how they kept the castle in there and stuff.
I remember wondering what the castle was in the first episode. Like in the very, very first episode of the whole series, they just traveled deep into this mysterious forest and then into this castle ruin. And it's like, is this castle the castle of Nightmare Moon? Was this the castle of some other ruler that was there before they got there?
Now we're getting all these answers.
And then they finally expand upon that. I still kind of wonder why they had a castle in the middle of the Everfree forest.
Well, maybe we'll explore that in future episodes. Maybe it wasn't in the Everfree forest that it was built. Ooh.
Yeah, that's one of those
maybe
things,
the forest grew around it.
Maybe Discord's seeds grew the forest.
Yeah. Well, not so much Discord seeds, but something could have happened, you know. That was like, there was this castle and it existed and things were happy, and then, you know, the whole, you know, banishing evil to the moon for like a couple thousand years. When 1,000 years goes by, that's quite a bit of time for things to go awry, you know. It only takes a couple 100 years for Everfree Forest to
and the Everfree Forest is really, really magical. Like it's really spooky and magical.
I mean, it could be that like Celestia and Luna lived in the castle, and then when Celestia had to banish Luna to the moon, it was like too much for her to stay at the castle.
I kind of
just
thought
like
that too,
emotional wise. So that
and it
might be why
got pretty screwed up too with all the lasers.
Yeah,
lasers. Yeah. So then, who did she get to build her new castle? Or was Equestria already there? I wonder. I mean, not Equestria. The Canterlot. I wonder if that was already there when she was ruling Equestria from her other castle, or whether that was built within the 1,000 years of Luna's banishment.
I think it would probably be built. I don't know. So maybe we'll find out.
It's an interesting look into the history of the area, because Princess Celestia told the Apple family, Granny Smith's family, to go over there by the Everfree Forest to plant their apples.
Yeah,
she told them to go over there, right?
What, 2 generations?
Yeah.
She said her family could go over there, and then that's when they started Ponyville and whatnot. And that's only like 2 generations. That's only like 200 years max, you know?
Right, but then nobody lived there before that. Like, nobody lived in that area where that old castle ruin was and the Everfree Forest and stuff was. And before, not that long ago, when Granny Smith was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
I gotta say, I really like so far the cohesiveness of the first 3 episodes, because it really reminds me a lot of like the first season where there was this kind of end goal, which was the gala, and with this one, there is the end goal of opening the box.
What's in the box?
And it's so far it looks like they're sticking with that theme throughout, and they're this episode was kind of a cool way to play on that. The box, like in general, but focus on
because it was good. Because in the beginning, she mentioned, she was like there's nothing in these books that says anything about this Bax and blah blah blah. And then Celestia was like, oh, if you go to the castle, you can learn. So it was like it was part of this overarching theme that will be going throughout the season. And then it was kind of like slice of life, getting scared in this castle that is now continuitous.
Yeah.
I like that they have the overarching plot, despite the fact that like it was really lighthearted. The episode was really lighthearted, but it still touched on something more dramatic overall.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Bern just said. I just said it in words.
Yeah, different way. Yeah,
and the potential of the die, which is the new letters to Celestia. I like that. I
missed the letters in season 3. I was sad that they were gone. Now they're back.
Yay.
Yeah.
And
it's going to start their own journal.
It's also kind of interesting because Celestia is no longer like Twilight's teacher, so that's kind of probably why they phased out the whole letters to her. But now it's like, they're writing their own thing, and it's of their own accord. So it should be interesting.
Should be
to see like how it progresses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
I know. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on in this with this episode is that there's a lot of references to Scooby-Doo-esque themes and stuff.
Mystery solving.
Mystery solving. Just like the whole castle thing. There's one part when there's like a portrait of a pony and the eye moves.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was I was in that whole scene. I was watching that painting to see if the eyes moved, and then it zoomed in on it and did it anyway. So I was like, oh.
It seems so out of place that there's these little like paintings still on the wall, and there was like the maid pony with a bottle for a cutie mark. And then there was that the soldier pony. That was really good. I really liked that like old cartoon touch, because that's one of the other things I love about My Little Pony is they always are trying to incorporate qualities from other like nostalgic cartoons and like 90s cartoons and whatnot, and like so that those references to Scooby-Doo and junk and old like Acme cartoons, like that was really good.
Yeah,
made me laugh.
I was disappointed there wasn't a yakety sax chase scene.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the yakety sax chase scene for the armor to fall on one of their heads and for one of them to accidentally be wearing the helmet, chasing the other ones around and terrifying them. Like I just swore that was
and through all the hallways and stuff, like going through different doors.
Yeah,
I was totally
the armor falling on Rainbow Dash. I expected her to like be wearing some point of the armor and just book it yelling or something.
Yeah, get the helmet stuck on her head or something.
Yeah, just hoof it.
Yeah.
Never heard of that.
That would be what Twilight does.
When she found the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, what a nerd.
I wanted to say right back at the start of the episode when Applejack and Rainbow Dash are covered in bees, and then the bee farmer comes and takes all the bees away. They're wearing suits. How was that something to be?
That was really funny.
I know.
How does that prove you're a iron pony or something?
No, the Iron Pony was the other
most
one.
daring pony.
The most daring
pony.
pony.
Most daring pony. But they're wearing suits. Like
I know, that was awesome.
Yeah.
If you're gonna cover yourself in bees, you can't wear a suit.
Yeah, but they played that really well because like you couldn't see the suits underneath the bees.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Because it's like, oh man, this is dangerous. Like, they're like covered in bees and whatnot, and they fly away, and they're just in suits, like sitting there looking at each other. Like, what?
It's like, no.
I love that the beekeeper's suit has a beekeeper cutie mark on the suit too.
Yeah.
That beekeeper pony is a pony from somewhere else. I can't remember where.
Oh yeah, if you want to know a background pony,
that
talk to Silver.
Tall, lanky guy.
He's the tall, thin pony with he was the doctor, I think. He looks very similar to one of the doctors, one of the tall, thin doctors.
He also looks like the Jesus pony in the bowling episode, or the episode where they have bowling.
Oh yes,
yeah, with pony. Like the
Jesus.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. Another fun part of this episode is all of the crazy expressions that like every pony gives. Because they're for half of the episode they're frightened like out of their minds, and so there's always constantly this like screaming emotion and like the expressions on their faces. It's priceless.
Fluttershy was really good for that one.
Yeah, she was really good this episode. In fact, as much as I don't want to admit it, I liked Rarity in this episode.
I love Rarity. Rarity is the best pony. She's always making all these faces and making all these sounds, and like she's so expressive. Rarity is so expressive. I love it. It's what she makes her my favorite one.
Shout out to Tabitha St. Germain.
Yes.
Shout out.
I love the part where she like tumbles through the wall from Luna's throne and like just gets covered in these branches and twigs and stuff like that, and then she's like yelling at the castle like, "Why won't you take my gratitude?"
Yeah.
Jumps back through the window.
Yeah.
What a baller.
So good. I also really liked all the trapdoors in the episode.
Yeah,
and the organ. Actually, another reference that I thought of immediately was there was an old cartoon show called Magic School Bus. Which was fantastic. And there was one episode where the kids they go to like an old museum, like a sound museum, and they're experimenting with like different types of sound and whatnot. And there's this organ that comes up from like the basement, and they're like, it's like exactly like the organ in this episode, and it's like really haunting and chilling and stuff like that. And it turns out that it's played by like some curator of the museum or whatever.
Well, even that's going back and referencing the like the old Phantom of the Opera. That's what all this like these cartoons are going back and referencing. And the whole like creepy organ and the mysterious organ player. So it was really cool to have that reference too, because there's so many other things that have like referenced that, and it's just like
it's practically a trope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's such a good trope to have with, especially with an episode like this, because it's like it's mystery, but not really, because there's no mystery to be solved. But I don't know. It's just a really fun episode.
We'll see at the end, it made some mystery, because it was like, oh, the shadow pony was Pinkie Pie, but then at the end it was like, Bana. Who's this figure?
That's
oh
true.
no!
It's the mysterious
Maybe
Medu
we'll
all
find out.
over again. It's everyone.
It's Trixie calling it.
I straight away said Trixie.
I don't want to see Trixie again.
But you do or you don't.
Aw.
I don't like Trixie very much.
But Twilight and Trixie, OTP.
No.
I mean, now that she's an alicorn, she's like, where's your alicorn amulet now, foo?
Oh yeah, you've got horns. Well, I got wings.
I really like Twilight in this one. I feel like Twilight's usually the first one to freak out about stuff, but it really shows her growth, that she wasn't freaked out at all by any of this.
Oh yeah, exactly. When like the organ went when it played and they were all like jumped and they were scared, but she was like, nah, stern face, and physically carried them like a possum with babies to the organ room.
she was very in character for this episode. It was good.
Yeah.
It's a lot of character growth, though. It's a lot different than who she was when this series started.
Yeah. I do like her new relationship with Celestia, because Celestia's not really her teacher anymore. She's more of like a mentor or guide. So like in the beginning, Celestia just writes like, I would suggest you do this and whatnot. And it's not like a teacher-student relationship anymore. It's more of like a guide relationship, which I thought was pretty well done. But yeah. And also Twilight, when she entered the library, was pretty hysterical.
She was so happy. How did those books survive the elements for so long? The roof was broken.
There is some more cartoony like things that they did in there too, where she was like diving into the books and whatnot.
And when they were, especially Fluttershy and I think it was Rarity, when they went through the trapdoors and stuff, they're all spinning around on the trapdoor. That's very Scooby-Doo-esque.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Also, something great that they kept in this episode from the last episodes was the abuse of Spike.
Yes.
I loved it. It was great. There was multiple parts where like something happened to Spike. And at the very end, the best part was when Pinkie Pie was like, and hit that key, and it was like, like sprung him back. Like, ah! Like, if you look at the ponies, like, Rarity and Fluttershy don't give a crap. They keep looking at Pinkie Pie, like, and Rarity's just complete blank face, like, gives no craps whatsoever. And then, like, Applejack was actually like, wait, what? And like, like watches them go like all the way back. So you that comparison of like Applejack, like watching him get flung back and just Rarity not caring at all was great. Like the comic relief that Spylight. Wow. Spylight. Wow. Anyway, that Spike is now like creating is pretty good. It's pretty awesome because he was actually a really hated figure in some of season 2, I believe.
Season 3 especially.
Season 3, because he was just being a little pain and he was being a little like immature brat, and he was doing all these mean things. In fact, I was watching season 1 and 2, and he kept doing really jerkish things, and I was like, God, Spike, damn it, Spike, you're a jerk. and like stop saying all these jerky things. And so now that like all these bad things are happening to Spike, it's like like the crowd, everyone's like laughing when they're like yeah, Spike got hurt again.
But Spike's
like,
not
maybe it's like
Spike's
don't worry,
not
Spike will clean it up.
I would much prefer this stuff happen to Angel Bunny. I hate Angel
Maybe
Bunny.
Spike is. I think Spike is also growing, kind of like Twilight, in that he's. I mean, throughout the first couple of seasons, you see him not really learning lessons that well, or at least the lessons not really sticking well with him. But hopefully this season we see a little bit more of a mature Spike.
Yeah, he's been
or just more gags.
He's been behaving himself like this season, especially like the end of last season. He was really good too. So
yeah. There was one part that I was like, I didn't really agree with, and that's like towards the end when Twilight was like, Spike, no one likes sarcasm. I was like, I do. I like sarcasm.
And I don't even feel like Spike said to like deserve that either. I felt like she was like shutting him down, like shut up, Spike. Nobody wants to hear you talk.
Exactly. That's why it was great.
Yeah, we'll make Spike
because he wasn't sarcastic. He was actually scared and like stating something, and then friggin' Twilight was just like, shut up. It was very like what is it? Friendship is witchcraft-esque, where it's like, don't worry, Spike will clean it up.
Yeah.
We'll make Spike do
it. Yeah. So yeah, overall an excellent episode. I think we all enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it yet, sorry for the spoilers.
If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing watching this?
Yeah, seriously.
Spoiler warning.
So we're going to wrap up the spoiler cast. Thank you guys for joining us and watching, and we will see you next week when we go over season 4, episode 4 of My Little Pony. Yay! So signing off, I am Flutterguy317.
I'm Brian.
I'm Atmos Spark.
And I am Silver Raincoats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye guys.
Bye.